The rain hammered against the cafe window as Emma Chen wiped down the counter for the third time that hour. Her hands were cracked and red from the dishwater, her back ached from the double shift, and somewhere in her purse, her phone buzzed with another overdue bill notification she couldn't bear to read. At 28, this wasn't the life she'd imagined, working 16-hour days just to keep the lights on in her grandmother's apartment, watching dreams of art school fade like watercolors in the rain. But when she looked up and saw Nana sleeping peacefully in the corner booth, wrapped in Emma's only good coat, she knew she'd do it all over again. Love, she'd learned, wasn't about grand gestures. It was about showing up, day after day, even when your soul felt as worn as your second-hand shoes. That's when she first noticed him. He sat at table 7 every evening at exactly 6:15, always ordering black coffee and apple pie, always leaving a polite smile and a reasonable tip. Nothing extravagant. Nothing that demanded attention. In a neighborhood where most customers complained about prices or snapped their fingers for service, his quiet courtesy stood out like a candle in the dark. "You work too hard," he said one evening, his voice gentle as he handed her his empty cup. Emma managed a tired smile. "Bills don't pay themselves. I'm Marcus, by the way. Marcus Webb." She nodded politely, too exhausted for small talk, not recognizing the name that would have made others in the city drop their jaws. Marcus Webb, the tech entrepreneur whose company had revolutionized renewable energy, whose face had graced the cover of Forbes just 3 months earlier, whose net worth had more commas than Emma's bank account had dollars. But he never mentioned it. He just kept coming back. 3 weeks later, as autumn leaves scattered across the sidewalk outside, Marcus finally gathered his courage. Emma was refilling the sugar dispensers when he approached the counter, fidgeting with his watch, a simple Timex, not the Patek Philippe he wore to board meetings. "Emma, I was wondering, would you have dinner with me? Somewhere nice. Not as a customer, but as, maybe we could get to know each other." She looked up, genuinely surprised. He seemed kind enough, and there was something disarming about the nervous hope in his eyes. But Emma had learned long ago that her life had no room for maybes or somedays. "That's really sweet, Marcus, but I can't. I work 2 jobs, and my grandmother needs me. I barely have time to sleep, let alone date. I'm sorry." The rejection was gentle but firm. Marcus nodded, understanding flickering across his face. "Of course. I understand. Thank you for being honest." That should have been the end of it. But the next evening at 6:15, Marcus was there again. Same table, same order, same kind smile, and the evening after that, and the one after that. What Emma didn't know, what she couldn't have known as she rushed between tables and worried about Nana's medication costs, was that Marcus had started arriving hours earlier. At 9 every evening, when Emma finished her cafe shift and hurried 6 blocks to her night cleaning job at an office building, a dark sedan would pull into a parking spot across the street. And Marcus would wait, not stalking, not imposing, just watching over her. He'd seen the neighborhood, the broken streetlights, the groups that gathered on corners, the way Emma clutched her pepper spray when she walked. So he stayed, reading on his phone, making calls, working through emails, until he saw her safely enter the building at 9:30. Then he'd wait until 3 in the morning when she emerged, exhausted, and watch until she caught her bus home. Every single night. Emma remained oblivious for 2 months. But Maria, her coworker at the cleaning company, noticed. "Girl, there's a car that's always there when we start. Same one. You got a guardian angel or a stalker?" Emma's blood ran cold. That night, she left through the back entrance and circled around, her heart pounding. When she spotted the sedan, she marched up and rapped on the window. Marcus looked up, startled, then slowly rolled down the window. "Are you following me?" Her voice shook with a mixture of fear and anger. He seemed to struggle with the words. "I'm making sure you're safe. This neighborhood, these hours. I just wanted to know you got to work and home okay." "That's creepy, Marcus. You can't just." "You're right." He held up his hands. "You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I never meant to scare you. I'll leave right now. I couldn't stop thinking about you walking alone in the dark. But this was wrong. I'm sorry." He started his engine. Emma stood there, torn between outrage and something else she couldn't quite name. As he began to pull away, she knocked on the window again. "Wait. Just wait." She took a shaky breath. "How long have you been doing this?" Every night since you told me you worked this shift. 2 months, maybe. 2 months. She processed this. You've been sitting in your car for 6 hours every single night for 2 months. I wanted you to be safe. Something in Emma's chest cracked open. She'd spent so long being strong, being the protector, the provider, the one who sacrificed. She couldn't remember the last time someone had tried to take care of her. Why? The word came out as a whisper. Marcus turned off the engine. Because when you talk about your grandmother, your whole face lights up. Because you give the homeless guy on the corner your employee meal even though you're probably hungry too. Because you work yourself to exhaustion for someone you love, and that kind of heart is rare, Emma. That kind of goodness is worth protecting. Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. I don't understand. You could have anyone. Why me? Because kindness isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up. And you show up every single day for the people you love. You inspired me to show up for you. Even if you never wanted more than that cafe friendship, I just wanted to help however I could. Emma wiped her eyes, then surprised them both by opening the passenger door. Can we talk? They talked until dawn. About his lonely childhood despite material wealth. About her parents who died when she was 19, leaving her to raise herself and care for her ailing grandmother. About dreams deferred and hopes that refused to die. About the difference between being rich and being wealthy in the ways that truly matter. I still can't date you, Emma finally said as the sun painted the sky pink. I can't be someone's project or charity case. I don't want to fix you, Emma. I want to walk beside you. Let me help carry some of the weight. Not because you can't do it alone, you clearly can, but because no one should have to. That morning, Emma called in sick to the cafe for the first time in 3 years. Marcus took her to breakfast, then to visit his grandmother, a vibrant woman who immediately embraced Emma like family. Over the following months, their relationship bloomed slowly, built on genuine friendship rather than romantic fantasy. Marcus didn't sweep in with money to solve her problems. Instead, he showed up. He sat with Nana during Emma's shifts. He helped her apply for grants to finally attend art school part-time. He introduced her to a nonprofit that assisted families caring for elderly relatives, connecting her with resources she never knew existed. And Emma taught Marcus what his billions never could, that true wealth is measured in presence, in sacrifice, in the quiet heroism of ordinary people doing their best with what they have. A year later, when Marcus finally proposed, he didn't do it at a fancy restaurant or on a yacht. He did it in the cafe where they met, at table 7, over black coffee and apple pie. You refused the first date, he said, slipping a ring onto her finger, so I decided to show you every single day why you should say yes to forever. Emma laughed through her tears. You're ridiculous. You know that. Is that a yes? She kissed him, tasting apple and cinnamon and the salt of happy tears. It's a yes. It's always been a yes. You just taught me that love isn't about being saved. It's about choosing each other, over and over, in 1,000 small ways. Outside, the autumn rain fell again, but inside the cafe, surrounded by the neighborhood folks who'd watched their love story unfold, Emma finally understood that sometimes the greatest wealth isn't what you have, but who refuses to let you walk alone in the dark.